Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to a special edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the 37 submissions for NOVID November, the special challenge that Pause and Select hosted, where various anime YouTubers, or just YouTubers in general, they choose an anime that has not gotten a lot of representation on YouTube and make a video on it in the month of December. Yeah, there's 37 entries, but technically 36 that I'll be covering here because one of them is my entry, so I don't need to cover that here. And I decided, because there's so many submissions, instead of watching all of them at once and then recording like I usually do, I feel like by the time I get to the last entry, I'm going to forget like the first third of the videos and I won't be able to say anything. So I thought I'm going to record right as I finish each video, basically, and then kind of yeah, go from there. So you'll see me gradually get more and more tired as this goes along, probably. I don't know how long it's going to be, but we'll see. And you know, I haven't watched Pause and Select's live stream of this challenge, where he talked with most of the creators, or just generally about each video, and he was only being positive and, you know, that sort of thing. I can't guarantee that I'll be positive or with all of them. I didn't watch that live stream to get any impressions or to be kind of influenced in that way. So I haven't heard his feedback or response to it. I did watch his, you know, essay video summarizing all of them, kind of talking about the experience of the challenge itself, which was great. But, you know, the playlist is still in the description as usual, and I'm going in order of the playlist that Joe has provided here, which doesn't seem to have that much of a order exactly. It's not really alphabetical or anything like that, so I'm just going by the playlist order here. But I have watched the first video, and it's by Study of Swords, talking about armed girls' Machiavellism, moe with kenjutsu characteristics. And this is a channel I hadn't heard of before. And he usually makes very long videos talking about just general media and the relationship with swords, as well as like a lot of political stuff. And all of his videos are actually really long, all things considered, and this one is like the shortest one on his channel by a good 10 minutes, which is interesting. But I really liked it. It's very dry and formal. The guy seems very, very straight shooting and everything. But I really liked that he really treated this show with respect, you know, considering that this show definitely doesn't seem to... He lays out in the video where it's like, it's middling reviews, not a lot, it's not very popular, or like, you know, it's not rated very high on Mal sort of deal. And yeah, I remember this seasonal coming out, and I didn't really pay much attention to it because it didn't look all that special. But I really liked how he went into it, and the gist of the series is each of the it's a harem show, but each of the girls is a different sword wielder, and has a specific fighting style. And he goes over each of those fighting styles and what the basic background of them are, and kind of giving you a feel for them, and how each of the girls represents characteristics of that fighting style, and kind of reading into their characters and how it can kind of explain that type of fighting style as a whole, basically personifying the fighting styles, which I think was really interesting. Playing it out very calm and straightforward again, but like it was just very informative and interesting. I don't know anything about kenjutsu, so this was really interesting. I also really liked the comparison to Mecha Musume, how it, you know, there's not really much of an explanation of, there's not like a hardcore reason. It's more just, it was cool, and you're just combining two different cool things, basically. It's like, I like girls and I like swords, so let's just do sword girls, you know, kind of thing. But I really liked that video from him. That was the first video I've seen of his channel, but that was already a really good start. I really liked that one. And I just watched SteveSekai's video on Yusibu's probably accidental anti-capitalist ideology, and that was fun. I really do like Steve's presence on camera, and I think I said this about some of his other videos. He really is one of the only anime YouTube people that are actually like filming themselves in this very classic AVGN guy with the glasses type old school kind of video essay, I guess. I guess those are technically video essays, but like, you know, it's not like the kind of video essay that we were familiar with, I guess. But yeah, no, I always like that. It's always very nostalgic for me and refreshing in the grand scheme of things. But he's talking about this show that surprisingly has a lot of commentary on capitalism and you know, these various things that are happening in the real world, and how it connects to, like, you know, massive job loss and other things like that. It's a very political video, but he's not like the thumbnail makes it seem like he's gonna tout some communist stuff, but he doesn't even mention communism at all, really. It is anti-capitalist because it's pushing back. It's kind of showing them as the bad guy, like capitalism as a negative force. So I guess in a way it's promoting anti, you know, communism, I guess, but like it's not really, like, Steve doesn't really preach it in that way. The style of the video is Steve as a news reporter of sorts, and he channels like kind of some Jon Stewart stuff, and he's like kind of playing with a pen. He tosses it like one too many times. It's like that's all he knows how to do. He just tosses the pen a bunch of times. I thought this could have been a lot sharper. I think there was a lot of things that could have been said about this show that Steve does say and are really sharp, but he kind of elaborates on it a little too long for me, and it just kind of keeps going and going and going. I do like the various examples that are very concrete that Steve is showing you here, especially because he very much realizes that you probably care more about what he has to say than going out and watching this show, because it's, you know, kind of a middling average kind of show, which is fair. But I liked that, but I liked the substance in this video, and I like the approach for sure. I think Steve has a great persona for it. I would just say that, like, if you just boil it down to the essentials and like making it sharp and like hitting you one after another with examples, I think if you worked on making it more streamlined and try to cut it to like 10 minutes or 8 minutes or something, like, I think that would have more of an impact personally. But what we have here, I really liked. So that was a good entry. I enjoyed that. So I watched Tyranno's video on Magic Knight Rayearth, and it is interesting that this show hasn't gotten a kind of essay for it, besides its generic kind of reviews, given that it's a clamp work that's like kind of pop. It's not like one of their more obscure ones. I thought that was really interesting. And for right off the bat, where's the spoiler warning? Dude! Like the entire the crux of this video really hinges on talking about the end of the first season, and it's a pretty spoilery end of the first season, I guess. I don't know. I just thought that was weird. You couldn't have told it anyone. I don't mind, I guess. I think it's interesting. But yeah, I just thought that was strange. And the other thing that I'll just get like the two things I kind of have a rub with out of the way, I guess. The other thing is just like, if this were me, coming to this realization about Rayearth, that it's breaking convention with magical girls as an idea, not just aesthetically, because it does follow it relatively the same, and you can qualify it as a magical girl show, but the conclusion it reaches and the roadblock that it hits, and it goes a different way than every other magical girl series, without trying to spoil it myself here, I thought was really interesting. But if this were me coming to this realization and I knew there was a second season, I would have covered the second season. I would have. I don't know if you're saying like this. It's past the scope of this video, and I'm like, yeah, but that's pretty key. And it sounds like you watched it, but that was what was burning in my mind. It's like, how do they address that? Because that's so interesting, that they make that choice. And yeah, I don't think you do sort of imply that it's bad for doing this sort of deal. I do kind of get that vibe off of it, even though you do say that that's not what you're saying. And that was kind of a little off-putting to me as well, because I was like, I mean, it can do different stuff, but it's like it does break the convention, and I think what you say at the end, where it's like it reminds you of what you really like about actual macho shoujo, the ones that actually follow convention, the reason why they follow convention and why that's so important, despite the overwhelming conflict that they find themselves in. They always find a way to overcome them, and they don't necessarily overcome them in this show, or rather, they kind of do the kind of yeah. I don't want to go too into it myself, but I just thought that was weird. He didn't really give any spoiler warning. Maybe in the description. No. I don't know. I thought that was weird, but like not like that's a huge knock on your video, but I just thought that was strange. But I really like the concept of this of what you're going for here. I thought that was really interesting. But I'm happy you talked about Ray Earth in that way. That's some commentary I would say on it. I thought it was interesting. Pretty cool. Dakota Broskie had a comfy low stakes video on the sleeping waifu you didn't know you needed. Dignified Sleeping Saiki. It's this 40 chapter manga that just finished. That seems really cute, and it's just kind of a basic recommendation video, steering it towards you and kind of showcasing some of its highlights and features and stuff. Pretty basic stuff. And I noticed that like he kind of finished it like 6 minutes into the 10-minute video, and then the last 4 minutes is kind of plugging what he's doing and kind of talking about his channel as a whole, which I thought was interesting. I liked that he connected pause and select this challenge that this is with the fact that this is stuff that his channel does all the time. A lot of his videos is a manga that no one's really talked about, and I think that's interesting. It makes sense because it's true. On YouTube, there's a lot of people talking about anime and a lot of the same anime, and that's kind of what, by extension, what this challenge is trying to mitigate, I guess. But also specifically manga that's not there's so much more manga as well. Like there's infinitesimally more that keep coming out, and there's no schedule for them. They just kind of week by week, and sometimes they be self-published and all the time. It's such more vast, I guess. So I think it's more kind of intimidating, at least for me, to kind of like sift through all of it and stuff like that. But people like Dakota, and I think Anime Man does this a lot too, kind of covering a specific manga, introducing you to it, sort of deal. I think that's really really valuable and really cool. But you know, Dakota has a similar affable personality that his other videos have, very laid back and personable, and you know, all you need is kind of the basic gist and some of the art, and you kind of enjoy this 40 chapters, pretty low stakes and things like that. And I liked that, and that the video kind of matched that tone of investment or like, you know, grip investment, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Engagement, maybe. But yeah, that was cute. That was good. Nice job. So I rewatched JumpTheShark's video on the greatest anime OVA you've never seen, Gosenso Sama Banbanzai, which is another series that I'm surprised doesn't actually have a essay about on YouTube, because considering it's an Oshi work. And I'm sorry, I did cover this on Digest, so if I contradict myself or repeat myself, I haven't looked at my initial review of it offhand at the moment. But just having rewatched it, I feel like I have similar thoughts about it, where he mentions how he doesn't have the motivation to go full on with the analysis video, like the big one that kind of really breaks everything down episode by episode, because not enough people have seen it. But I think that ends up kind of having this middle ground with this video where it's not like a full surface level recommendation video that's really trying to get you to the core appeals of it and why you should watch it. but it's not going deep enough for that analysis. It's not a deep enough for like that sort of analysis video that he's talking about to really getting the fundamentals behind it. So it kind of ends up kind of being this like fence sitting kind of instance. And I'm happy he talked about it. But yeah, I end up kind of feeling kind of in the middle about it overall. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. I don't really have too much else. And I'm sorry if I say in the digest, like, I have a feeling I said like, I'll go into more depth later or something, but I this might be even less depth than when I went in there. I mean, it is kind of just clip selection, and there isn't too much. It's similar to Study of Swords video with very straight shooting and simplistic delivery and everything like that. But yeah, no, I would encourage JumpTheShark to go forward with the bigger analysis video and really breaking it down to getting behind the idea of it. And for what it's worth, this does get me to really want get me to want to watch Gosenso. I'm planning it as my 700th completed, so I'm hopefully that happens. But yeah, looking forward to that. And I will say that this video did contribute to that, because like yeah, that was cool. Good stuff. And then the next in the playlist is my video, so I'm not going to cover that. So here's the next one. And just like that, I've already watched Geek Eire's video on Broken Down, an Osamu Tezuka film. And yeah, it's 2 minutes, really quick. Maybe it's because it's like it's kind of self-explanatory. It seems to be a short for like a black and white thing, and he does show footage from it, but the majority of it is filming himself in vertical, in like portrait mode, and the audio is not synced with the video with him talking, but the audio is clear, so it's not the biggest deal in the world actually. And there's kind of cool jivey music behind it, and there's this weird like audio, like I'm just describing the actual video for it because it's like it's so different. It doesn't like whatever, you know, it's kind of bizarre and like different. It's interesting. I feel like if there was more, but I don't know, it's because it's like it was in like the corner of the screen and things like that, and it's just kind of he does kind of summarize with Tezuka's whole MO and stuff, and I don't know how necessary that was. He's just kind of describing it very objectively, and it isn't so much of his perspective on it. It's more like he's just kind of talking about it, I guess, which is a little similar to my video actually with 1001 Nights, where I'm not as much, I guess I'm kind of like inserting myself a little bit, but I don't know, it kind of reminded me of my video actually a little bit in terms of talking about the anime very hands off and objectively, I guess. But yeah, it's really different. And this is not the first video I've watched from Geek. He sent me his Jujutsu Kaisen video when it came out, like back when it came out, and like he filmed himself in front of like a cemetery because it's like kind of about death and stuff like that. And there's really interesting choices there too, but I think at that time the audio wasn't as clear. And this one, it seemed like he had a mic and like actually invested in that, and that was actually really good to see improvement of. And there was it had this, I don't know, it had like this different energy to it. I really like his eye on things, and I hope he improves. I hope he does more videos, honestly. I'm sorry I haven't really formally covered him on Digest yet, just because it was one of those situations where he was a very new creator that I didn't think had it all together just yet to really show it on Digest personally. So like I gave him like kind of a constructive comment and stuff like that, which I do for a couple of videos. Just because I want to give people feedback and know that they've been seen and that I want them to improve and stuff. And I think this was improvement. If just kind of completely different. And it's yeah, I'm not trying to like withhold any punches of trying to be mean or something. I get people could probably be mean about this, but no, I was just kind of caught off guard by it. Actually, I was just kind of like, wow, huh. And I had never heard of this short either. That I never knew that Tezuka did this. Actually, I thought it was like, I always kind of picture Tezuka as just like, oh, he did manga for a bunch of times, and I think I remember hearing that he was like an intern at Toei, and then he did Astro Boy. But I feel like there was this other stuff, like some various miscellaneous things, including this. So I think that was something interesting to bring up, actually. I would have liked more history, actually, about that. I get that he kind of did talk about like who Tezuka was, but like maybe giving that context, like this was before Astro Boy and sort of deal. Something like that would have been interesting. But good pick, and really different and interesting. And I'm really looking forward to more improvement from him. Not that this was a bad video. Like, actually, I think this was really good. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I think he could do, I think more, if he pushes more into this, I think, and experiment more, I just think he has a different eye for this than everyone else does. I think all of us are kind of hyped as like, oh, I have to show the footage in this way and do everything like this. But he has none of those, inhibitions, I guess. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I hope he continues. And there's Clear and Sweet's video on Aria the Origination, Scope and Storytelling, Aria the Origination's Traghetto episode. And there's a couple things I have to clarify before I talk about it. Is that for one, I've watched all of Aria and wasn't really much of a fan of it. I couldn't get into it. I did like Amanchu a lot more. It's a whole thing with me. I really don't know why. I should probably rewatch it, but I just couldn't connect with it. And so I don't remember this episode. I didn't really care. And like the contrast of this scene, I agree. When Clear and Sweet's talking about it, is like, yeah, that is different from what I'm familiar with and stuff, like from what I remember of Aria, but I also just don't remember this episode because it's like it didn't seem all that different. And I hate to be, a jerk about that. I don't know. But that doesn't take away any of Clear and Sweet's points here. I thought that was really interesting. And the other thing I should mention is that I did kind of know about the twist at the end, where he shows off the commentary from Junichi Sato, where he very explicitly calls to that scene in that episode. That's exactly what they were doing and what they were trying to do. Which I think is really great. I thought that was really smart to include. Otherwise, I thought it's similar to a lot of his. I don't follow his Madoka series or didn't catch up on. I only found him. I found his channel like while he was doing this Madoka series, which he's still doing, of course. But like his analysis, his brand of analysis and the way he goes about it with like freezing frames and going shot by shot, which is always really interesting, and reading into it. I think it's really strong. It really gets you invested in it and everything like that. I think what was missing for me about this analysis is that it's this scene and you don't really get, I having seen Aria, right? But then like, I really didn't engage with it the same way, so I don't remember this episode, and I assume that this is happening at the end of the episode. But I wish Clear and Sweet took a little bit of time talking about the episode first before going into like what came before this scene, like kind of giving the viewer context of why this character is upset and her reason for breaking down, and why it maybe even talking about how it still came out of nowhere. The rest of the episode is still very serene and I almost said mundane, but I will. I won't say mundane. I get it's not quite mundane. It's a very fantastical setting and very gorgeous and serene. That's just my personal. That's my subjective word for it. That I kind of came across as it personally. Not like I'm not a fan of Yashike, and I'm not like against this healing type of show. I like other shows like this, but I don't know what Aria didn't do for me. But I hate to, sorry to keep inserting my. It's kind of inseparable I don't know words, dude. I don't know words. I don't know English. Inseparable. That's it. Okay. It's hard for me not to say that, but yeah, no, I thought I felt that was kind of missing for me personally. Of like, I would have liked that context to. I like that they gave the context for the rest of the series because it's, yeah, I think that's great, and that's important. But I don't know. I think that was something that was kind of nagging at my mind of like, I want to kind of get into this episode's headspace and like, what is she talking about? What's her problem? Sort of deal. And it's more about, and Clear Sweet more focuses on the abstract of like, she has a problem, and here's how the show handles that, and visually kind of deal, and not so much of the text that she's talking about. A little bit of the content, right? A little bit of it, but not as much as I would have liked personally. But one thing I should mention, I really liked the beginning of this video with comparing the Brady Bunch and Dragon Ball Z, and kind of like what the purpose of having a scene that totally breaks convention of what the series that it's a part of is trying to do. Like the Brady Bunch sequel kind of having this sort of raunchy scene, and Dragon Ball having a more laid back, episodic, silly kind of adventure instead of the ultra serious, violent thing. I thought that was a great setup. I really liked that. That was very refreshing. But yeah, I personally was kind of missing that out of the Aria section personally. But I really like the I think the analysis itself was really sound, and the twist at the end with Sato, I had known about it in advance, but I still think it's really solid, really great idea. But yeah, I dug that. Nice one. So I went and rewatched Beyond Ghibli's video on A Moment to Breathe, Hannah, Alice, and Shunji Iwai, the animated movie of Missing Case of Hannah and Alice, but it's just Hannah and Alice, really. And it's actually a prequel to a live-action film by the same director, and this director has a whole filmography and very specific style that Beyond Ghibli goes into that I really appreciated, because nobody talks about Japanese live action film unless it's like Love and Pop or something, like it's not common at all. And I think it's really great that Joe has a vernacular to this, and he's not just coming at it from having seen this movie. Although, full disclosure, there was a video essay on Hannah and Alice before, but Joe didn't know about it. Joe did. He told me, he showed me the draft of this. I'm like, huh, and I showed him Zen's video. He was like, shit. No, but it's done. It's already there. He made it. But it was just funny, and I was just watching it again, and man, it's just so delightful watching his videos, because it's enjoyable on a moment to moment basis, right? It's not so much like, wow, the point he made is really interesting, or like, kind of enjoying it on that level. But it's like, yeah, it's interesting, but it's more like, it's also like his clip selection and his music choices and his delivery with all of that together, making it feel so sophisticated and delightful. It's just so comfy to watch, man. Despite the kind of the, and knowing him personally, I won't talk about it here, of course, but like having been talking to him has been a really great pleasure, particularly for 2020 for me. I guess is one of the highlights for me, is getting to know him more. He's been a great guy. But this video itself, I think, is really great. One criticism I think can be levied to it, that I think he I think he may be aware of, is like, it takes kind of a while to get to to Hannah and Alice, the animated movie. And it only, let me see how like the chunk of the runtime it actually takes up, because he goes into like Shunji Iwai. I think it's like a third of it basically, because it's Shunji Iwai as a filmmaker and kind of getting you an idea of what he's like and what he likes to focus on. And then the Hannah and Alice live action movie that this precedes, and then goes to Hannah and Alice. But I think all of that's really interesting and valuable to have. I don't think it was unwarranted. And again, I think the fact that he seems to really prioritize a moment-to-moment atmosphere and tone, that like the video is just enjoyable to watch all the way through, no matter the information that's in it. And it's like, oh, when are you gonna get to the point, or whatever, right? It doesn't really matter to me in this particular instance, because I think the mood that you set here with the music and the little AMV you have at the beginning there, it's not even AMV actually, it's not animated. So but like, you know, the music video type of thing at the beginning to start it is what lovely. And all the information is interesting and stuff that, again, I don't think anybody talks about. I'm repeating myself at this point. But yeah, I guess that would be the one thing to levy against it. It's like, you're kind of getting to... And it is kind of a situation of like, all right, you kind of want to focus either on the movie or on Chuji UI as a creator and kind of cover the whole thing. And so it kind of ends up being this little mix of both, but it's just sort of a taste type of thing. And I think it's fine because you clearly care about this director, and I think you mention it, how you mentioned to me at least, that like this is one of those videos where you kind of go send it to die, where you know it's really not going to get a lot of traction, and you really are trying to make this a substantial occupation, right? And so as doing that, you need to talk about relatively popular things every so often. So this is a moment of indulgence for Joe, I think, and you know, obviously an excuse to talk about it, which is the case for all of us, really. With all of us, with NOVID November, we're kind of using this as an excuse to talk about things we really like that aren't going to get the views on YouTube type of thing. So I think Joe took advantage of this really well, and I really enjoy it. And, you know, not simply because, you know, we're mutuals in that way. Metahulk with a very excellent video on HG ni Koisuru Futari, an unknown manga that will resonate with everyone. Yeah, wow, that's really good. I mean, it is kind of just summary, story regurgitation, talking about this because nobody's read this, right? I looked on Mal and has like, granted, you know, Mal's not the best for like stats or something in terms of manga, but especially manga, but also anime. But it has like less than 500 members, and the reason I initially looked was actually because I wanted to see if this was a josei and what magazine this was published in. This was actually published in Gundam Ace, which makes sense because which is a seinen, by the way, which is okay. You know, I just thought it was interesting because it's following adult female characters, but it makes sense it's following in Gundam Ace because you probably wouldn't immediately tell. I mean, you could sort of tell if you looked at it for a couple of seconds, right, with the covers. But it's about Gundam, or Gunpla specifically, I guess, and the kind of the animosity that people have against women being into Gunpla, and kind of the struggles they have with sharing that passion that they do have, and this adult woman finding this other girl who can't shut up about it, and finding the strength to get that closure and indulge in it the way that she always wanted to. I thought it was really lovely, and I agree it is something that all of us can kind of relate to because we have this hobby that it's very difficult to start to get to explain, and yeah, I've been in those situations personally. But no, generally, I think this was a really, really great video in terms of the presentation of it, the music being used, but also mostly the visuals, the textures that Metahulk is using, like the various markers and canvas type of things, and really leaning in on the fact that, like, I love this detail actually about this manga, that usually manga is in black and white, but they actually intentionally have it so that only the eyes have color, and I guess it's just the two characters, like the main two girls, and they actually kind of play on that idea where, like, once she's satisfied, the color goes away sort of deal, because it's like it's the passion but like behind the eyes sort of deal. That was kind of interesting. But like, this was a really great find, and I'm really happy Metahulk made a video on this, because I think it's a really interesting subject, and I think he presented it in a very, very strong, encouraging light. I also really like the little voice cameo. That's somebody, I'm looking for if there's a credit. You had somebody kind of voice like a little at one point, which was really poignant. And yeah, it had a lot of variety to it and everything with the visuals. It didn't feel like a lot of manga videos. They kind of go into a formula because there's so much to show, and it's it's relatively more effort, all things considered. But the amount of attention to presentation here was really, really strong. It's excellent video here. Really nice job. Oh man, whimsydearest came through with a really cute video. Loneliness and empathy in the girl from the other side. I'm sorry, like, she's such a long time like commenter on Digest, and I've never actually talked about any of her videos. I feel really bad. I am subscribed. I just, would it be? I'm sorry to bring that up at the beginning, I guess, but I really liked this video. I've seen the OVA for this because the art style really struck with me, and it was also just really exciting because the person behind this OVA was like a kind of this particular animation student that I had seen some of their other work before. That was really exciting that they're kind of getting into the industry more. But it was a while ago since I had seen it, and I remember only really gravitating to the visuals and not so much paying attention to what this whole idea of the girl and the sensei not being able to touch each other. I'm like, wait, oh yeah. Or like I didn't even notice that. Or yeah, but like that was such an interesting, and that's so obvious, I guess. So I'm just a dumb for not noticing. But the editing with the bringing in incorporating the manga with the OVA was really great. I think that can be kind of difficult, as I know as someone who's had to do that before. I think Whimsy did a really effortless job on that one, and I think the music choices and her delivery really added to the feeling of this series that like feels very kind of tender and a little dark, a little bit like kind of a friendly darkness where there's this, I don't know, it's light ominous sort of deal, but it's not like she's trying to be spooky or something like that, but it's more like I don't know, there's something about it. The tone here is just really great. I think it's just a really nice mood piece. It's very short, of course, but I think your videos are usually this short. But that's all it needed, really. I think she said what she had to say about it, not trying to make this grand statement about it, or really try to get to the core of it or something. I thought it was fantastic, though. I really liked that. Really nice mood piece. Again, I'm sorry I haven't really talked about many of your videos that much. But yeah, I really liked that. So I watched Otaku King 69's video, Men Are the New Women, manga video essay. And, he doesn't really do himself very many favors with the beginning. So the editing is incredibly basic. It's so basic. It's literally just like putting the pages full screen, like this on the screen, cycling through them. And there's a couple that I guess he couldn't get access to, and the messaging was kind of confusing. I don't know. So he was like showing other images and stuff, but it was just, I don't know. It was weird to get it. It took a while to get to the actual describing the story, and all he really does is kind of just describe it, and it's another sort of story regurgitation. Although it's much more beat for beat, and not so much something you can. It's not something that's like compelling and followable, I guess. It's followable, but it's more like he's just telling it to you, and he's just showing you the pages in what seemed like sequential order, as if you could just kind of flip through it in the video itself, which is a little, I don't know, not so much, not amazing for me. But like what I was saying, he doesn't do himself any favors is like the way he starts the video with like the very first image is the cover, but he covers the private areas of like the main character with like like paint or something, like, he like fills it in, because I guess there's like a bulge where that is, because I guess the premise of this series, this particular short story that he's covering, I don't know why he didn't cover the other two. I guess it maybe just boring or something, but he only covered the first one, which is like based on the cover and stuff. And it's because I guess the premise is it's a bunch of guys who can't get women, so they dress up. They kind of forcibly dress one of their friends into a girl, and I guess they go along with it. Okay, but like I thought it was strange that I'm not going to try to make any big statements or anything because I'm not educated in the trans experience or this subject of traps or whatever. So I'm not going to try to like say you're wrong or right, or I gotta be kind of a little fence city about it, a little centrist, I suppose. But it's more like I don't want to say the wrong thing here, and I don't want to trying to come off as holier than thou or anything like that. I just find it a little silly that you go out of your way to cover it. You kind of censor this cover in the video, but then a couple minutes later, because you're showing all the pages like full, there's a page with an even more egregious bulge, and I'm like, why? And that you didn't censor that. I'm just pointing out an inconsistency here. I just don't know why you. And that's like how you start your video. It's the people's first impression. People can click off your video, right? So like they're like, and they kind of shy away from it. I'm covering all of the videos here, so I was going to watch all of it either way. And I probably wouldn't have mentioned the censoring of the bulge, I guess. But you don't seem to anywhere else. So that was the weird thing to me. So it just seemed kind of inconsistent in that way. A little silly. But, very bare bones. I couldn't really get why you were talking about it that much. I don't know. It was a little strange. And again, I think the first impression thing, I was talking to Onimaru about this in a podcast that I did with him, where it happens a lot where if you say one off thing, even if it's just offhand and you don't take that much stock in it and you don't take it that seriously or something, but it's something that's kind of a live wire for people that is instantly going to put them on edge and on their guard about what you're going to say. So that even if the rest of what you're saying is accurate or, not all that bad or offensive or, it's kind of whatever, people are going to challenge everything you say because you said this one thing, especially towards the beginning, but anywhere in your video, really. Like when you bring something up and basically an alarm bell goes off for some people. And this could be anything. And I'm not saying like that's a right or wrong way to experience media. It's just a thing that happens. And I think it's important to have that awareness so that you so that you carry people along with you the whole video, basically, and they can listen to what you're saying. And I feel like the way you kind of went about describing this cover and then censoring it and everything like that, I think it leaves a very poor first impression for people. Even though with the rest of the video, I felt it was fine. It's okay. I don't have much else to say with it there. That would be what I would caution about with it. It's like, watch out for it, because it's not, I mean, maybe you are aware of that and you're intentionally doing that maybe, and it's like, well, cool, you'll attract some audiences for it. I don't know if that's what you want to do. Sure, target kind of a niche audience, that's fine. But yeah, not awful, but not, I don't know, I feel like you could have done a better job of that. SecretIdentityStudio had a kind of a different approach with a case study in anime obscurity, and she doesn't have the name of the show. Strain, I believe it was. I mean, she said it a couple of times, and I just watched it. But I'm sorry if it just went in sorry. I think the real thing I'm taking away from this video is I like the approach being much different, and really not so much about Strain as it is about the context behind Strain and kind of the Western acceptance of Strain, I guess. And it's still kind of an obscure title. I had certainly never heard of it. But I like that she did kind of go into the context of like, it was a it came out late in the season of 2006, and all these other, like, it was a stacked season at the time. And I like that she mentioned how this seemed to be kind of a one of the launch titles for Funimation's streaming service, and it was actually dubbed kind of later on. And and kind of got this second wind and a second life for some people. Some people caught it in that area, and the moral is how, like, any of these anime have a second chance to kind of come back from obscurity if they're kind of put in the right places and put in front of people. And I think that's a great message. I do think it got a little bogged down by info dump and kind of like, look how much I know about the Western anime industry, and listing all the events that happened, the dates, and the I feel like all of that could have been stripped away, and just kind of the bare essential is like, it's a pack season. Boop, boop, boop. Be kind of brief in your points in the way that kind of make it sharp, and like, here's the thing I need you to take away from it, and not so much like convincing you of the point so much. Because I think the approach and the subject itself is interesting. So I don't think you need to layer all these examples and tidbits to convince me of thinking it's interesting. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just kind of what I was feeling about it. I do wish it was a little more about Strain, maybe, and maybe kind of look into some like general perceptions and people's opinions of it, maybe, and kind of what the show did that was sort of different, or that was doing kind of the same that other shows were doing. And I think you did kind of talk about that with Code Geass, as it had mecha and it had cute girls, and then there was plenty of other shows that were doing that. But I don't know. Talking more objectively about Strain itself, and not so much about the surrounding context around it, I guess would have been good. But still, I really like the approach and the overall message at the end. I think that was really good. Yeah, I thought that was cool. Thixotrofic. Yeah. He had a video on War and Peace and Nekopara, Seeds of Radical Compassion. And I had to watch it twice. It's a short video. It's only 5 minutes. And I skipped a little bit because trying to really comprehend what he's trying to say here. I do not get sarcasm. I will take everything here as legit. But like, I get that he's trying. I think he is trying to be tongue-in-cheek when he says bringing attention to one of the all-time classics and an old Russian novel. I get it, because War and Peace is a very famous, and Nekopara is yeah, I think I get it, but I don't actually know. But no, I was happy that like it seemed that you had a genuine understanding of War and Peace, and it wasn't like a whole meme. It really was like describing a particular scene in War and Peace and comparing it to a scene in Nekopara, as kind of loose as they are. And I think you say towards the end, it's like, you might think I'm reading too much into it, but it's like, it's how I'm able to derive enjoyment and how I'm able to, I think the message you have at the end is kind of uplifting in a way and encouraging. But it is a little baffling and confusing to try to really understand what you're actually trying to say. I don't know. Maybe it's the whiplash. Maybe it is a bit of the whiplash, I guess. But I think it is interesting and fun, but just like what? Just kind of deriving like one scene type of thing. I don't know. I wasn't too in. I don't know. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, I guess. But I took me a little bit to get it. I guess it kind of flew over my head a little bit. But thanks for sharing. It's certainly something, and it's interesting. Nashbeb put out Rokuaka, the Black Bastards Blitzkrieg, and this is the one seasonal anime. I kind of think a lot of people Akashic Records, yeah, and technically this has had videos on it. Digi specifically, having his her now at least, but his at the time. Where I learned to stop worrying and skip Akashic Records, and just kind of like, I really want to rewatch that video now, having seen this video, because Najbeb, his focus here was trying to ignore the general community consensus that can really taint and poison a show's perception and people's just assumptions of it, just based on the, you know, very judging harshly by the cover and by the source material and some very basic factors, and something Valerix actually covers as well, which I really appreciate her doing. So like, but like Najbeb kind of goes through documents sort of the experience of kind of turning off the cynicism and the elitism that I think all of us go through. I think if you watch enough anime, you hit this point where you become kind of a connoisseur of it, and you have to judge its quality and, you know, and that sort of thing. And so when you get so caught up in that and trying to outwit the show and outsmart it by thinking you figured it out, and you just kind of make these assumptions. And so people write these long reviews that it doesn't seem like they actually watched it, you know, because they're making these grand presumptions of it based on little bits and their own boredom, really. And Najbeb kind of like dabbles into a little bit of the depth of this show, but I think most of the focus is on that enlightening overcoming factor of like, oh, I don't have to be a dick, you know, and then I can try to pay attention and listen to what the show is trying to say and not be a snob about it. I think that was a great realization. And he's like, and I kind of rekindled my love for this medium when doing that. And I was like, yeah. I had my epiphany moment like that with Ashina no Joe, actually. I really felt like, and I don't think there was anything specific about it that I could point to, but it was really just this feeling of like, oh, I can just enjoy things, you know, and find the things that I liked and not be a bastard about it, and someone that's out to be pleased, you know, please entertain me, right? I think a lot of people fall into that, especially when they watch a lot of media, like specifically go out of their way to watch a lot of media, right? It's like a bell curve where like people are here when they're just enjoying media very passively, and then when they watch a lot of it, they get to this top of like elitism and like high expectations, and then when you watch even more of it, it's like it's all fun, you know. It's all in good fun. And you don't take it that seriously. And I'm happy to say I'm at that point. It seems like Najbeb kind of hit past that curve as well, and some people never do, and it's sad. But that, you know, I really liked that sentiment a lot, and I enjoyed that. That was really good. Watched WatTheWut's video on the truth of hard work beats talent. It's an analysis of Teppu, which is a women's MMA manga, and it's good. I don't have too much to say about it, I guess, because it's one of those things where it's like it's very thorough, multifaceted. I really like the different examples that he's pulling, not just from Teppu, but from Shonen series and from Rocky and from Karate Kid. I think that was a really smart play. Although the idea with hard work beats talent, because talent don't work hard, the Kevin Durant quote that he pulls, I think it would have been interesting if he talked about ping pong. At least mention ping pong, because that's exactly the kind of thing that the dichotomy there with one character is hard work and the other one is talent, but doesn't do any, you know, he just kind of leans on his talent sort of deal. And it isn't until they have to start working hard and then I think that's awesome. And there was other series that I really like Joe, that kind of made me think about that. And though that one's not so much about the talent versus hard work angle, but it is kind of a combat sport type of narrative. It just made me consider and think about those things. But yeah, I love this subject, and I think Teppu was a really interesting subject for a case study for the subject of hard work and talent. And I think WatTheWut does a really good job with showcasing everything very thoroughly and convincingly, and also a little emotionally too. I was noticing like there was a lot of an emotion in some of his delivery at certain points that were kind of emotionally charged. I thought that was really interesting. It's showing the kind of conviction that he has for this series to really convince you of it, which I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of not as many people are as vulnerable or capable of of sometimes the cadence of their voice, right? That they can't muster that sort of emotion out of it. And I think that's a really valuable skill for WatTheWut to have, to kind of elicit that emotion and rely on that, and not simply the amount of information and context that he's giving, which is also really impressive. I think it's a good combination of both, really. And some of the reading in the quotes and stuff like that, and having you follow through the story. It's a little bit of story regurgitation, but it's more of a holistic picture of the story in a way that's like followable for the most part. Yeah, but I think it was really great. I think that was solid. Nice. I watched F.C Weaboomer. Weaboomer. Although I think that's supposed to be Weaboomer, which is kind of funny. Her video on Ghost Sweeper Mikami, the best anime you've never heard of. Yeah. And I actually have seen the movie of this. I believe it was because I saw like a GIF, or a Sakuga clip, and I didn't have anything better to do, and I was just like, let's just fucking watch this movie. Even though it takes place after the anime and stuff, and all these characters have been introduced and stuff. I had an open mind to it. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm entering into this stuff. I don't know any of these characters. I'm not going to hold it against it, right? It's a good movie. Really fun, actually. Really strong action, characters, really dynamic. A lot of comedy. Really well put together and everything, and I thought it was awesome. And I just could give my little review of it, but this is generally Weaboomer's review of the whole series, of which she saw as a kid in Latin America, and had no idea. I just kind of saw it as a kid and didn't really liked it, but didn't like fall remember what the show was or anything like that. And then when she moved to America, nobody had heard of it, and she saw like a GIF of it, and she's like, oh, I remember this, and she didn't know how to like look up how to reverse image to like GIFs and stuff like that, so she held it in case that she would ever remember what it was, find out what it was. And eventually she did, and she went and rewatched it and stuff. It's mostly her talking and with her avatar. There's not as many clips, and I think she's using a lot of like YouTube clips and GIFs and stuff like that, which is cool. It's an economic way of doing things, but it's the kind of thing where it's mostly her avatar, and I like all the poses she's using, and kind of like the occasional like zoom in on her face and stuff like that was funny. But I just like the pose in general. It's just like she's just in parade rest and like talking very like her delivery feels very like video, like I'm doing a YouTube video type of thing, and it's very declarative, and I don't know what I'm watching. I might one of the things that was really charming about it, though, is despite the artifice of a video with the avatar and the cadence and the manner of which she's speaking, it was almost entirely personal with her personal history with this show, and the fact that like she hadn't recalled much. She's like, I didn't take any notes when I was watched as a teenager, just as I didn't think I'd need to. That sort of thing, which was really charming. But also like is like, here, I have my journal entry for it, and she reads her journal entry for it. I thought that was really charming and kind of disarming as well, because like not a lot of, when you present yourself on YouTube, a lot of people try to put on these airs of like they know what they're talking about, that they're kind of on their guard, and they're not gonna bring out those sort of personal details or the facts. Like a lot of people keep secret the fact that they keep diaries and journals and things like that. But like to not only like kind of have that vocalized, but then like, here, I'll read the entry from my journal. I think that's like really charming and disarming in a way. And I was like, wow, that's cool. As well as like the intro itself, which like I know Joe really enjoyed. For my discussion, like we had talked about a couple of the videos, and he mentioned this one. It's like your intro is so funny, where like you're watching the NOVID video. It's like, oh fine, I'll do it myself, and it's like it's just really funny and cool. But yeah, like there's a really good charming character to this. and I'm happy that you're getting into the game. It seems like it's a very early video for you, and I'm excited for more of what you have. I should be subscribed. I made sure I was subscribed to everybody, but I'm looking forward to more of what you have, because I like your the charm you have and the kind of character you have. I think it was really fun. And yeah, I like Mikami a lot, even though I feel like it did notice that like you didn't seem to rewatch it in a way that like you could really describe a whole lot of it. I think you described like the character of Mikami and kind of the things that you like about her, and the kind of talking about the little more perverted stuff based on her character. But you know, not too much else and not too in detail other than that. But I was okay with that. I think that your personality really kind of channeled and carried the video. Really, it was kind of the thing you're there for, basically. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was nice. Ryu Token got another video out, and I'm very happy to see that. I like his content a lot. Karakuri Kiden Hiwo Senki. It was the first Bones anime that I don't know why I haven't heard of it. And it's also the only traditional. It's only the only one they made before the switch to digital, which is also really significant. So it's so weird. This is the first I've heard of it. Like, it is definitely very obscure. And it looks like a really unconventional mecha series. It's like kind of like more. It's less mechanical and more of a like puppet, like Edo period, I guess, like type of thing. It's really interesting. It instantly got me to plan to watch it. Oh my gosh. But I think Ryu, there was something about this one. I haven't seen his other content in a little bit, but I could have sworn he definitely has more energy in this video than I've seen in his previous videos. Not that he was unenergetic in his other videos. I just felt that there was a really infectious passion and energy that was coming from this video. And his very earnest recommendation of it, and all these different things he was noticing and really enjoyed about it, kind of taking you through it. It's not so much of a plot summary thing. It's very much of a general review, kind of all over the place, a lot of random bits. But and because of that, I think it does kind of get a little long in the tooth. I think it could have been like 8 minutes or so, but like that's just only because it just felt like it kept going and going and going type of thing. And it wasn't ultimately the worst thing, because again, it's such infectious energy, and the show is just a really interesting beast. All the different things he was saying was all interesting. But you know, its conciseness, I think, could have been a welcome factor just in general. But you know, I really liked the energy he had here, and comparing it to some Tomino anime was really cool. And a lot of the stuff he was saying of kind of what its approach is and what it's trying to do, and the experience moment to moment of watching it, I think was really great. It's just a very general review of it, so I don't have too much else to say besides that. But again, I think Ryu had kind of a more energetic feeling behind it that I don't know if was as present in his other videos, that I really was really welcome. I actually was really convinced and compelled by it, especially to check this show out. I think like all the other all these other anime and manga that people have been recommending and talking about, I've been like, yeah, I know of it, or like I've been planning to, or I've already seen it. But actually the majority, I think almost all of these I haven't seen. But like there hasn't been anyone that I outright went onto Taiga, or Mal or whatever, made sure I put it on this list. I think this one was a very strong, hearty recommendation that was really great. So I was very happy with that. Really nice job from Ryu Token. And again, love his content. Anime Misfit with a Akira Toriyama spin-off, I guess, or OVA type of thing. Pink Water Thieves, Rain Thieves. I've never heard of this, and I was really interested. So this is another instance of putting it on my plan to watch, and another instance of very infectious energy on Shannon's part. She really felt like she was urgent and had like this rush to it, and felt like she had to cram this in 5 minutes sort of deal, and pack a lot of this stuff in. And yeah, I just love the energy behind this, and I think the editing also really kept up with it. A lot of fun gags, especially at the beginning and stuff. And that was really great. I assume it's edited by Lamp, but I'm not sure. I I just want to make sure you give credit where credit's due, sort of deal. It was saying it's Shannon and a review like, which I assume is Lamp, but yeah, no, I think this is a really great entry because it's a very, very obscure thing and kind of like having the urgency of like, why should I give a shit, you know? And she doesn't it goes out of her way to be like, yeah, I'm not dwelling on what this is about or that, you know, the telling you what happens sort of deal. And so much of like contrasting this with Dragon Ball and his previous work, and kind of enjoying it on a surface level type of thing with like these really cool backgrounds, really fun characters, and a good experience and a nice shot half hour sort of deal. And I thought that was a really smart way to go about it, being very economic and efficient and kind of tight with it. I think it was smart given this particular OVA. So that seems very like one-off and here and gone type of thing. I thought that was really smart. But yeah, I don't have too much else to say beyond that. I thought it was really creative with the editing and really, really, really energetic and fun, and got me to, pay attention and check this OVA out for myself. I thought it was really interesting. And that's the halfway point for me. I'm going to take a little break. A little break? Okay. Whew, that's a Toy Story 2 reference. Time skip means outfit change. So we're back, and I watched Senshi Nicolas's video on Best Blue, The Heart of Swimming. Again, I did talk about this on a previous digest, but I did really like it watching again. I kind of have the similar takeaways as I did back then, which was I really like the editing with this, with a lot of the ocean imagery and some of the little transitions you were doing. It felt like kind of a lot of conscious decisions, really cool, kind of getting the atmosphere of the material you're talking about, as well as like, I was surprised that, this is like your first English channel, and I first English video, I guess, and like it seemed pretty fluent to me, but also I really liked a lot of the personal representation you had with this video, with like you came from this as of someone who does swimming, at least in high school and college, and pursued it in that way, and that gave a lot of authority to what you were saying, I think, and more like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about type of deal, without coming off as that, right? Not like as a know-it-all or something, but as someone who's like, oh yeah, he gets it, that sort of thing. And I like that you kind of talked a little bit about how there's other swimming related things, but there isn't so much one that covers this type of competitive swimming the way that this manga does. But unfortunately it's only 20 something chapters. Would it be? But yeah, sorry that this is kind of a shorter entry, but I did kind of double dip with this one, but I'm happy you entered into it, and I am sub, so looking forward to. Maybe I've missed another upload from you, but have you put another one out? No, not in this channel yet, but that's okay. It's only been a month. What it be? Looking forward to more stuff from you. I had wondered why I wasn't subbed to Meti, Not the Bad Guy, even though he has like nearly 200,000 subs. And then I looked and I was like, oh, he mostly talks about shonen. I say, not that I have an inherent bias against that, but it's more like, I don't know, it's a certain type, I suppose. But no, I did sub and look through some of his other videos as well as I was watching why you should read Sengoku Komachi Kurotan, which is a manga. And being a manga means I haven't heard of it. It's not much of a manga person. But this is like a time travel thing. It's just like the main character kind of goes back to this Sengoku period, and it's about agriculture and farming and things. And I thought it was kind of refreshing and different. And it seems very different from the kind of thing that Meti normally talks about, considering his channel output. I thought that was really interesting and surprising to see, even though I don't know, it's not like it's surprising to the extent of like me knowing his content, because this is the first video I've seen of his in full. But I thought it was really cool that he went out of his way to make something like this, even though it's definitely not a popular subject, all things considered. The editing is kind of nice here, although a little jank. I don't know what was going on with the background at points, where it kind of felt like it was stuttering at points. I don't know what we could do to kind of mitigate that. And it's not like a big deal, but it is just kind of distracting. It's something that sticks out to me as someone that also edits videos, right? And like, if I would be seeing that, I'd be like, what's that? You know? But, you know, I like the general review feeling that he's giving with this, and, like, you know, talking about the character and various things, I guess. I don't know. It seems a very, very general review, but I am happy that he's covering it at all. Considering the stuff he normally does. Sorry, I don't have too much else to say about it, but I thought that was pretty cool. Snake Eye Dreams is someone I'm introduced to with this video. Qualia the Purple, Existence, Empathy, and Quantum Lesbians. It's 33 minutes. I think it's the longest video. It's almost, yeah, it is the longest, I think. Almost beat out by Hello World. And I was a little nervous about it at first. I'm like, oh boy, you know, and I shouldn't be, as someone who, like, makes long videos myself. But it didn't feel its length all that much, actually. I was pretty enraptured by it pretty much the whole way through. Partly because the story that Snake Eyes is focusing on, Qualia the Purple, is just kind of so interesting. And he's pretty good at telling it, pretty compelling. It is another story regurgitation video. And he goes it's just so far as, like, all of it is just the whole story, and really going bit by bit. I guess there's maybe more that he's glossing over, perhaps. But it seemed like the kind of the gist of the whole story, really. And I think that's cool because it's sorry. I think it's cool because I definitely wouldn't be reading this otherwise. Not that I'm not interested or something, but more like it's just not my... Well, I don't really read manga all that much. Fuck you, as they say. No, I'm sorry. But I was happy he took that approach, especially I think it's necessary. And, you know, as much as I wasn't sure about the intro, about, like, the insignificant, he was really trying to paint this idea of, like, existentialism and you know, human significance, and, like, you're only one of 7 billion people in this world kind of deal, and painting that picture, and then introducing the manga. And then as he was describing it and going through it, I was like, what does that have to do with the existence thing at the beginning? And at the end he kind of wraps it up in that frame of mind. I'm like, okay, I guess that's fair. But it's pretty cool. I don't have too much else to say about it other than that. It's doesn't feel its length, honestly. I think you get into the vibe with it and kind of be compelled by the story he's telling. I think it's interesting. Spence had a video on Macro 7, kind of talking about why the main character Neki Basara is a great character. And it's another entry where I'm surprised this one hasn't gotten a video essay on it yet. That was an interesting predicament, but cool, more Macros. And I've seen the original Macros and Macros Plus, so I haven't seen 7 yet, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy it seemed like he was able to talk about the whole thing without really diving into spoilers and really, like, telling you this character does this and this happens and whatever. It still felt like you could understand all of it, I guess, without having seen it, I guess. One thing I really need to say is, like, I don't know if I mentioned it in his LGH video I covered a while ago, but, like, his audio is really quiet. Like, I had it on, like, full volume and full volume on 2 things, and I still had to kind of, like, lean in close. I guess maybe it wouldn't really make a difference with headphones or whatever, but I don't know. That was just sort of an observation I had. I was like, huh, this is kind of quiet. And I also, like, there just wasn't much music behind it either, but not like that's a necessity. But also, like, another thing with the audio, his performance, I don't know if I said this in this, and again, I don't know if I said this in his LGH thing, but there's a very, very specific cadence to his reading of his script, and it does feel like he's kind of reading it and not so much performing it. And it's not like a perform whatever, right? But it gets into this very predictable rhythm that it gets kind of distracting, and you wonder how long he's going to go in this register before lowering it down to in the same pattern every sentence. And a lot of YouTubers have this. It's not easy to break. I certainly have it in cases, and it's something you kind of have an awareness of, and to like, okay, I'll try to shake it up here, or try to deliver that line in a different way. I think it's possible to like record the whole script in the way you would naturally, which is, I guess, this. But then try to go irate, try to find different inflections and things, like try to emphasize different words and things like that. But that was just something that I noticed about it that kind of took me out of it a lot of the time. That it was hard to pay attention when it was that same rhythm was happening, I guess. But that's probably just me. Otherwise, I mean, I haven't seen Macro 7, so I can't necessarily gauge on the accuracy or anything like that. But I was certainly convinced of him being an interesting protagonist and going through the whole story. Yeah, I thought it was neat. It was a pretty good video. It's my first video watched from Words Maybe. He's been doing this for a couple of years now, but the first I've heard of him. So I am now subscribed. Talking about this anime adaptation of the Mass Effect, Paragon Lost, and talk about this this particular choice in Mass Effect in the anime that they're adapting, which I at least know Mass Effect for your choices and like how it affects the story and things like that. Other than that, I don't know really anything about Mass Effect, so this is all new information to me. And you know, I like that he is able to find one interesting aspect out of this otherwise pretty mediocre and not all that worth discussing piece of media, which is something I think that we should have more of like not being afraid to talk about something that's like, you know, there's nothing else to talk about, but here's one little bit that I found interesting, you know, and not just kind of making the surface level, it's bland, it's blah, 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 right? And kind of like stating the obvious, I guess. I really appreciated that from him. I didn't have too much else for me to say, unfortunately, so I apologize not too much feedback there. But for what it's worth, I really enjoyed it, and looking forward to more now that I am subscribed. Good stuff. Dude, I swear SecretIdentityStudio is getting better with every video. It's so dope seeing this, like the growth here. Like his shit was great initially. Like I remember the Kino's Journey video, and some of those initial first few things, like Rain Town was kind of Kino and stuff. But he's coming through now with such sharp wit and really smart insights, and like this is the shit that I would want to make, and it's fantastic. I love his shit so much now, and it's just getting better and better with the more he's doing. I hope that these exercises with like NOVID and also r/anime and stuff is giving him at least, you know, the platform at least to, oh yeah, I have something to say, and then he goes through with it, and it's sick. It's really good. I also saw his animation earlier. That was also really funny, and some of the shit posts he's been doing as well. It's been also really great. I'm just really happy to see him just more outgoing, at least in terms of like putting more content out there. I guess he's so funny, and again, really fucking insightful. It's like three really strong traits. It's really funny, really insightful, and also the just general, and I think he had this from the beginning, but just the amount of polish and the uniqueness of his production in terms of the video quality, like the effects that he's choosing, and the visual transitions, and the look of each of these videos feel distinctly like him, but each of them also, like, you know, like it doesn't feel like it's cookie cutter. It doesn't feel like he's just slapping the same effect on every time, and it's just like, oh, that's just his thing. You know what I mean? No offense to other people that do that, right? I mean, that's the hustle. You do you, and I think it's effective. I sure as hell wish I had the stomach to do that, because I you know, I just like moving on to a different aesthetic every time, so I ended up having no aesthetic, so fuck me. uh but I like his choices here, and again, that each one kind of, that each video still feels distinctive and everything. Anyway, his shit's so good, dude. This Chio-chan thing, it's I didn't even say the name of the video. Chio-chan no Tsugakuro, and I had been interested in this particular adaptation, but never really got around to looking at it because 2018 I was just very busy with other things I was doing IRL, and also just deciding not to watch seasonal anime specifically, even though I ended up watching several seasonal anime that year anyway. Whatever. But that was great. Joji Matthews finally back, and I think I may have talked about this video in a digest. Maybe not. I don't know. The haunting atmosphere of Midnight Diner. Very quick video that she wanted to make for NOVID. And it's about this manga that seems very haunting, and I'm just describing the title. Jesus, it's another situation where like the video is so short, it's difficult to really pin down overall feelings about it. But she has the same vibes I felt with SecretRevealer, where like it's very polished. There's a very there's a level of proficiency that you can just tell with the music choices and the audio quality and the textures and the movements. There's a really good handle on this. I like the pretentious mode activated I think at the beginning there, but and it kind of just like lets it play out. I like at the end that like she just feels like recycling all of the animations that she sort of does here, and just puts them all together at the end as well with this really nice backing track. I like that mode as well. Yeah, it's not too much. Like the substance of it is pretty not bereft. I don't know the name of it, but just not a whole lot of it, I guess. But that's okay. I think that's intentional for the brevity. That's what it is. There's brevity to this, It's a tasteful brevity. But I'm looking forward to that video that she's promising at the end of December. Is it going to be the 31st? I believe that's why I'm going to be recording the best of 2020 on January 1st, 2021. So I don't miss a fucking thing. So if it's not there, Ava, I'll just put it in the, hopefully I'll cover it digest in next week or something. But looking forward to that one. I'm sure he's sick of hearing it, but second look, he's back. Had a video called the Anime Close-Up, and my one thing about this was like, what's exactly the obscure anime that he's talking about? I mean, I believe it's the one that Thomas Lamar references in his book, and he's talking about in that book. It's what's comparing the Anime Close-Up, which is like the eyes specifically to in film, the film close-up and the shot, having it on the face. And I like the subject a lot, and I like the amount of sources he's using, and it seems very educational and in that way. It just seemed really all over the place with like, and now talking about the Maximum the Hormone music video, which itself was really interesting. And then suddenly tying it back to that other stuff, and it just seems like a lot of mix of ideas, and I'm cool with that. I think it's thought-provoking and interesting. It just didn't have a cohesion to it that I thought made it as much of an impact that I would have liked. But regardless, I think it's a great step for him. I'm not too familiar with a lot of his previous content, and he's privated a lot of it because of copyright situations. The only one I remember is his video on Guru, which convinced me to make my own Guru video because I wanted a video that really articulated the adaptation process, whereas his was a very general, hey, I checked out the couple episodes of 94 to try to compare it to 17, and here's the observations that I came up with. But yeah, I really liked this video a lot, and it seemed that he's becoming more read about filmography and reading into anime specifically with Thomas Lamar, and like all these actual texts and citing a lot of those things. I thought that was a great step. I think if he had a very specific thesis and like a thing to keep driving towards, and kind of a focus, I guess. I mean, this is the close-up itself is a focus, but it just seems it was kind of using all sorts of sources and things like that. Like in this case, I feel like if he focused on that OVA he mentions, and I get that's kind of a generic OVA, whatever, like seems like standard fare kind of deal. Maybe focusing in on that and being like how it's using the eyes and things like that, and taking you through it through that perspective would have been interesting. But otherwise, I'm very happy he's back and that he seems to be doing well, and looking forward to more content if he chooses to make it. I know this was like very much spurred on by Pause Select's challenge, but I hope this convinces him to make more, hopefully. I think he's good at it. First video I'm watching from SecretRevealer talking about Gujabu. Yeah, I mean, they were there. That was how they were pronouncing it. So I was like, oh, okay, it's not just GJ Club, GJ Boo. It's like Gujabu. Short, small, and lost in time. And the lost in time thing is referring to this OVA. Due to the success of the series, it was actually financially successful enough to warrant this kind of finale of sorts, because it actually the whole series spans from the beginning to their graduation, even though it's a 4-coma and kind of a short series, and lots of times kind of like an ending resolution type of thing. And I thought that was really interesting to bring up and to talk about. SecretRevealer is very straight shooting here. There's not a lot of devices or humor or anything like that. It's very here's the core essence of the show, and I think that's actually really valuable, especially the brevity too. I think that's actually really valuable with this kind of show that a lot of people I think can write off as just a slice of life, cute girls, whatever. Because that is what a lot of these shows do. A lot of them do have a goal and a structure and messages in mind, but a lot of people dismiss it out of surface level aesthetics. And that's not necessarily what SecretRevealer is trying to like disprove or anything like that. But it's more so the value that they're bringing to in this video, I think, is enlightening that to me, where it's like no anime or really media in general, I think, should be really treated with dismissal in that way, and you can't just kind of write it off for whatever reason based on some surface level thing. I think that each of them can have something like this, and it's not even that SecretRevealer is like, you know, reading too deep into some of this or anything. It seems pretty obvious, but it's more like getting to the end and revealing and revealer, I get it. No, communicating it in such a straightforward, brief, really succinct way. Succinct, I think, is the best way to put it, really. So I enjoyed that. That was really good. I am subscribed now and looking forward to more content. Yeah, give me content. You know, whatever you make, it'll be cool. NOVID also sees the debut of Hello World in English. In brackets, I guess it's their first video in English. It's similar to Senshi Nicolas. Let me see if there's a linked channel to this. It doesn't. So it's Italian based though, so that's cool. It actually has a whole description here, but I'll read that later. So this was like the first video that they have on this channel, and I was floored. I was pretty impressed. I'm really, really looking forward to the next few things that they make, especially since this was done only in a matter of a couple of days, apparently, instead of like all month, which is what I kind of assumed. It looks gorgeous. The video is really cool looking. Really very simple choices, like repetitive choices that kind of get like, you know, paced over the whole thing, but it adds to a very deliberate, specific aesthetic that is very memorable. And it's this like he desaturates the whole thing and like leaves a color, I guess. I was like baffled, like, how did you do that? And so I had literally this was like the only time I actually went to Pause Select's like live stream and looked for that entry and see if he was on there, and if he explained it, and he does, it just like desaturated. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, yeah, it just looks absolutely wonderful. I might play into that. I might look into that myself. But this is an essay on Macros Plus. Art will save us from ourselves. And yeah, it is surprising that there isn't an essay video on this. There might be reviews of it, but no one's really made an analysis video of it. Of course. Well, I wouldn't, of course not. I've seen Macros, and I've seen Macros Plus, and I've said that about Spence's video. But I saw it a while ago in my anime club. So like I don't remember too much of it, and like the emphasis on the robot AI dealing with art, and how it kind of, the commodification of it becomes so overbearing, it becomes kind of a drug and substanceless. And so you kind of, it's sort of a danger. It's kind of the danger of how art can be all consuming, and we end up not living very productive lives, and it's not very good for us. And that's usually with like, and Hello World is mostly like linking that to like how it's become automated and like commodified, basically, is in Macros Plus. But it obviously, as Macros is, especially the original series, it shows that culture and art is also capable of saving us, and is saving us from ourselves. I think is interesting in that way. But yeah, I think it was a really great subject. It is pretty long, but it is sort of a dense subject that Hello World really wants to give you the full picture of. And I did appreciate that. And it's another thing where like the visual and audio experience is so captivating that it didn't really feel like 30 minutes to me, which I really appreciated. This was really great. I was really surprised also that this only took him a couple of days. Like if this was like a couple of days, it's like, oh boy. I'm subscribed. I hope you are too, because this is a really exciting debut. At least it seems like a debut. I'm not sure if their videos are somewhere else, but they don't have another channel linked, so I'm assuming as much. Yeah, that was hella good. Hella fucking good. This is technically not the first video I've watched from Poisxn Ivy, because I did watch what I'm pretty sure is a r/anime entry, which I will be covering in a digest this week as well. I'm pretty sure this is her video, because I mean it says that I watched it and I remember I recognize the thumbnail. So this is technically the second video I've seen from her, but I'm happy that like both these challenges, both the NOVID and this r/anime thing, kind of motivated her to make videos, because I think she's good at it. I think she has a really good delivery, and I like her writing style. And the atmosphere, at least in this video about Honey and Clover, finding your place in the world, is the name of the video. Shapes. You gotta say what it is first. Jeez. I just like how to. Never mind. But like Honey and Clover is a very comfy looking show, at least. I mean, what it seems. And I think it was very embodied in this video, which I do like. And it didn't, she does spoil the show in a way that, like, describing major events and kind of, some character motivations, but it seems more of a slice of life drama that, like, that there isn't like he ends up with this person at the end, or it felt like that. I mean, she probably says those things there, but like the way it was introduced and talked about, it didn't seem like, it seemed transient, I guess. It was like, yeah, this is how it is at this point of the series, or something. And I don't know, there was something that didn't feel like spoilers, even though it is technically all of spoilers, going through the whole thing, I guess. But I really liked the angle that she takes with focusing on a lot of the characters, and the common theme with all of them being trauma and dealing with existential ideas and loneliness and things like that. I guess loneliness might be one of them. It seemed like it, because they were all kind of dealing with relationships and things like that. So I guess I don't know. I may have just been putting words in her mouth. I apologize. But yeah, I really liked the vibes of this video. I think it's comfy, and I'm surprised once again that this doesn't have a video essay anywhere. Really? Like, I get that Sangatsu really at this point has really outstepped Honey and Clover. But I was aware of this title way before Sangatsu came out. I just hadn't seen it yet, and I'm looking forward to it. I wasn't sure if this is like a full adaptation. It seems like a shorter work, so I wasn't sure if this like was complete yet. But I know that it's complete in the manga, so I wasn't sure if the anime adapted all of it. But I guess it did, perhaps. Sure. But you know, I'm definitely have it more on my radar now than I did before. So that was really nice. And I also noticed on her channel she also does like piano covers and stuff. I'm like, that's nice, that's cool, and I like that. Like the variety. I haven't checked them out yet, but I probably will. Go check her out. She's a new creator. Hell yeah. Ember Reviews coming through with another video. Cool cinematography from a mostly forgotten anime. Denki no Kanojo, I believe is the name. Doesn't have it in the description. But it was interesting that he prefaced this with saying that like he's gone hard on this director before with criticizing his choices with The Promised Neverland. But here in this video, he's analyzing several shots of this particular kind that he uses, where he's superimposing a character on top of another, kind of breaking space of sorts, and it's a very wild, different kind of choice. And sometimes it's not used without any real reason, but Ember's selecting certain scenes that really have a significance to the story as a whole and how it's communicating itself. Ember does a really good job communicating this and this sort of scene analysis type of thing and the significance of it. Kind of similar to Clear and Sweet's Aria video, although it's definitely a lot less linear. It's more going example by example. I feel like he could have like worked more on like discerning exactly the kind of things that this shot is using, besides the individual moment by moment of like, oh, this technique is being used because in this scene, because here's the context of the scene thematically or narratively or whatever. Whereas maybe it's like, this is for fear or unease, or, you know, just trying to come up with more abstract reasons for using it, so that you could potentially apply it to other moments in that OVA, or maybe in general, where it's, you know, and maybe you also talk about the kind of the challenges and kind of the weird things about it too. And I don't know, I would have liked more of an objective, like talking about this technique and the applications for it. But again, I think he does a really good job analyzing each of the scenes he chooses here, and has an understanding of the series he's talking about, I think, and the character motivations and things. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Really nice stuff. Nice job. Bruce Juice had a delightful video on Turning Girls, Studio Trigger's hidden gem, and it's so hidden I definitely didn't know about it. This is an anime that they made between Inferno Cop and Kill la Kill, where they were like so swamped with Kill la Kill and the Little Witch Academia pilot thing that, and then they just had, I guess they accepted another anime and stuff. And Bruce just goes into this whole history of kind of what they did here, and like they got all the female workers, janitors, everybody who was a woman, which is not that many of them, into one room and let's just make an anime. And like none of them were animators and things like that, and they came up with this very rudimentary but really down to earth and funny short web series like called Turning Girls. And it was really great. It was really interesting to hear the backstory of it from Bruce Juice, and going through, and it has a good amount of levity to it. Not very plot summary, because it's just kind of, it is what it is, you know. But I really appreciated the background here, and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that he went into. I thought it was fantastic. I actually really liked this video, just for how informative it was. And this really was one of those things where it's not hidden gem in the it's not like I think hidden gem is a very cliche, overused term. So every time I see it, I'm kind of like, yeah. But this was genuinely like, wow, that's really cool. That's really interesting that Trigger has something like that. I really recommend this video. I think it was really interesting. I had certainly never heard of it. this guy Hongu coming out of nowhere with a Dokuro-chan video. Dokuro-chan's the like the bludgeoning angel thing. I believe Discotek licensed it. I have a feeling they did. So that's cool. Just saying. But I'm also surprised it doesn't have any major essay type thing either, considering its notoriety. But like I'm just baffled by his channel because like he uploaded like the Technolize OP like 6 years ago and shit like that, and like his last upload was 4 years ago, and then this came out. I'm like, what? It was just kind of a surprise, given his channel history. I'm subscribed at least. I don't know if he'll make another video again, but you know, we'll see. But I thought it was really nice. I thought the personal outlook with his getting into anime and everything, and it was actually about his first anime. It wasn't just like the first paragraph and then he just talking about it as a review type of thing. I like that it really felt like it was a core experience for him, and I thought it was really fun. I liked the AMV type thing that he does at one point with introducing Dokuro-chan. It's like, here's the three anime I cared about when I was a kid. 1, Higurashi. 2, One Piece. And 3, this thing. And personally, I mean, you know, I can't complain, right? But I was watching and I was like, man, you could really go all out with this one. It was just very simple clip selection, and it's still good. I'm just saying, you could really go jam with. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just, as someone who likes making AMVs, I was getting that itch. Like, oh, come on, go for it, you know. But no, I really liked that. The energy was very good, and it matched the intensity and the energy of the OVA itself, which makes sense. And I like the humor was very quick and dry. That's how I like my humor, quick and dry. Whatever, man. Yeah, but I dug that. I was pleasantly, not pleasantly surprised, because I just, you know, I had no frame of reference to contrast it with to be surprised, I guess. But it was nice. It was good to see. Nice one. Just came off watching Jae Mantis's video on exploring Japanese SF, a look at Project Ito's Harmony, and I really need more. I need more information on this, because it's just really interesting. It's kind of a similar situation with Geek Eire, where like there's choices where like it's really compelling and different and like not expected at all. I was just really captivated by this. And I think the first thing that stuck out to me was just like the use of like filming yourself and the delivering the script, and he's staring right at the camera, and you know, he's kind of stumbling over words a little bit. He's not doing multiple, I don't know how many takes he's doing, and the music choices along with it and his tone and everything, it all like culminated in this feeling like there's an urgency and like kind of in a rush of sorts. And I feel, you know, I'm seeing that this video was posted December 1st, so I think maybe it was kind of a last minute decision, and there's like maybe that panic, that kind of urgency is actually like a little metatextual. But that's fine, because it actually added to it being really compelling, even though it was not the easiest thing to follow sometimes with him stuttering sometimes, but it's you know, it is what it is. That's what you got, and I was really captivated, actually. I have very little information about Ito and Harmony and stuff, but I really appreciated the real world perspective that Jay had. Or it's by Bjorn Peterson. I just saw a video essay by Bjorn Peterson, and I guess Jae Mantis is the uploader, I suppose. But like, you know what, another thing that was really, really stuck out to me, and I feel like I really need the context for this, but of like what happened here. But like, you know, there is text on screen, but there's a moment where he's like, there's a kind of a graphic scene that if you want to skip to it, you know, here's the time code, and he says, I might not have a time code. Oh no. And anyway, and then just plays the clip, and like, I kind of really liked that. There was just something really compelling about that was just like, what do you mean you don't have a time? I don't know. It was unpredictable. You know, that's such a common act. But then there was this kind of like, get ready for it. Even though and yeah, it is pretty graphic. But I don't know that it may have been very unintentional. I don't know how intentional it was, but it's like, I don't know why you couldn't have had a time code. And there wasn't the thing there wasn't a time code. I'm like, okay, are they editing this in such a way that they can't add text? But no, they definitely can, because there is text at the beginning, but also a little bit later, like on the film, like on the footage as I don't know if there was, I wanted to take for granted or whatever. I don't know. It was just so interesting. I just was like really compelled by it. I need to know what and like, apparently Skrulls did the music for this. And I was like, wait, what? That's another layer of mystery on this. This was just so different and interesting. But I don't know if I mentioned, I'm sorry I keep cutting myself off, but I like the personal affect that Bjorn had here, where he'd been taking these classes, and he's like, I was fortunate to read this particular SF novel months after it had first been translated, and he was like kind of on the bleeding edge of this medium, and I thought that was really interesting. Again, it was a little difficult to follow for me, and I think it was largely because I was very distracted by those choices of the way it was being filmed, and the music choices and the tone that was being carried. It just felt very urgent and like riveting, and I love that. I actually really fuck with that, because it's better than like blasé, like, yeah, I guess that was nice or something. But I just leave with more questions, I guess. But it's interesting questions. I'm definitely gonna go dive into Joe talking about this video, because I'm sure it's gonna give way more context to this, because he gave himself a lot of time before presenting this sort of thing. But this, I'm literally turning the camera on right as I end the video, which has its pros and cons, I suppose. But it's the necessary evil I have to take here. But yeah, I really liked that, actually, despite not taking too much out of it, like content wise. I'm happy you talked about this movie, especially in a way that felt very mature and not like just kind of shitting on it as a piece of entertainment. I think you were coming from it from a historical perspective and what it was trying to achieve and how that's interesting. I really appreciated that. Yeah, that was really cool, actually. I dug that. No, I liked that from Seaweed Ambassador, creating effectively in spite of budget. Talking about Kagewani, which was I was familiar with the, being a seasonal, and I remember coming and going, and I liked the commentary he had, whereas like, yeah, it's, some people, he's like, I completely forgot about it the minute I finished it, type of thing. And yeah, I feel that. But I really like that the insight he brought in, where having such a small team and it inspiring him to pursue his own creative project and not something that kind of is relying on other media. I did see Core talking about that as well, I believe, for 2021, which is exciting and good. But yeah, I really like the setup you have as well with the bookshelves and then kind of I know that you've been like filming in front of on camera for a while now, but I think that you've been slowly improving the set and everything, and I think your production value has been getting better and better, and that's always really great to see. Yeah, and I really fuck with this video. It doesn't have too big of a point or anything like that. I really like the not worldliness, I guess, but the awareness of other types of shows, and Yamishibai and Twilight Q, I think was really great points of reference to kind of draw comparisons with, to try to flesh out what this series is trying to do. But I think this video was very multifaceted, had a personal twist, and really comfy overall. I really fuck with it. Yeah. Good shit as usual, dude. And I think this is showing improvement as well. I do think you're getting better and better at this, despite wanting to move on a little bit from it, and pursue a specific creative endeavor, which I think is really cool and exciting. Best of luck on that. This is another instance of like several things at once. That's a kind of a common theme I've been seeing with NOVID. Mator put out a video on Ride Back called Rin Ogata is as a role model for political activism in Japan. You know what? This also, before I get into that the kind of the similarities here, the vid overall really reminded me of Gil's Midori Days video, where it's taking a specific aspect of a show and expounding on a real life aspect of Japanese culture, or just a reality. In this case, the absence of women in the political system as political activists, and how like they've been able to be engaged with the political system officially since the 40s, but it's still largely male dominated, and her transformation from a passive, to kind of quote his video here, from a passive non-political, apolitical really, observer to someone who's active and taking an active role in participating in it, is something that we can, again, that's kind of echoing what he's saying in the video. And so like the two things that stood out to me that's very similar to a lot of other videos, is that this was someone who it's either like their first video, or like a video that they've never made something like this before, or like haven't made a video in years, literal years. Like the last videos he has on this channel are like 4 years old, and they're all like video game stuff, like Minecraft and like Halo and whatever. I don't see any anime analysis anywhere like this, but and also what's very consistent with that was like it's pretty good. It's very straight shooting, formal. Doesn't try to like fluff it up or preamble or anything anything like that. I think it's very simplistic, and has a very singular, laser focused goal on it, on the message here. And I thought that was really great, really focused, really insightful and interesting. I would encourage Mator to do more. I think this was just kind of mostly just clip selection. Good clip selection, of course, but try to do more with the visual component. I think would make it even more compelling. But otherwise, I think the content is it's ultimately what matters, right? And I think that was very, very sound. Also, I did remember seeing him around during the live stream and organizing things. And I do appreciate that. I didn't know, so I guess he's maybe a long-time follower of Pause Selector or something. That might be it. I know Second Look, at least, had come out after a long time to, just because, he was a follower of Joe's. So I feel like that's what I mean, Joe, right? I don't know if you're probably not watching this, but that's what I mean, where it's like you have the reach of people, and you're able to motivate people to put out content. Like you brought several people to like either start their own channels, or come out of not making videos for a long time, or make videos that they had never made before. Maybe I'm incorrect, and Mator has done other stuff like this in the past, and I just have no idea. But this is my first time recognizing it, and I thought it was a really sound video, really cool. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah, awesome. OLV had a video, and the first time I've seen one of their videos. The Great Passage, Funeoamu, Connection and Language. Again, I'm surprised that this doesn't have an analysis video on it. God damn it. I love this show. It's not like I didn't put it as a great for some reason. I don't know. I guess it wasn't as like enraptured with it as Shogun Roku Rakugo Shinji, which is just the same character designer, really. It's just the same designs, but it's not the same author exactly. But I really like this show. I do remember it fondly, and OLV does a good job talking about the importance it has with language, as well as connecting with other people through language, using various scenes and things like that. It's another straight shooting, pretty plain, simple type of thing. Although I will point out, I really do like the subtitle, like not subtitles, but the annotations or little notes that you put in every so often, with like "Hi Dad" when you're talking about Pause Select, or the "Don't Kill the Old Man" or something like that, or some other text things like that. I thought that was really funny. It's really just clip selection other than that, which, like, I was noticing Is it interlaced? I don't know why it's interlaced. I don't know what happened with the footage there. What it be, I guess. A little distracting, but not too awful. I was just interested and curious. But I do enjoy that, and I thought the analysis was sound with Funuamu, as much as I like it. I don't have too much else to say. I will also say the outro at the end was actually kind of a delightful surprise, because I felt that the delivery with the majority of the video was very straightforward and very formal, and then I feel like you were being a lot more natural, casual, playful even during when you're talking about the context of the channel as a whole and the videos you're making, and even your creative process where you made those first couple of videos like really fast sort of deal. I like that sort of introspection in videos, even though it's not like having to do with the video itself. I personally really enjoy that because it kind of captures where you are at that particular moment and crystallizes it, captures the moment in time, I suppose. So I don't know. I personally like that sort of thing. Just encouraging you in that way. But yeah, that was cool. Nice one. And ha! You thought that was the last video. It was 36 videos, but it's actually 37 videos, which I said at the beginning it wasn't 37, but it is 37. And that's because I remembered that Roger Smith had a video that's, technically for NOVID. Or maybe he was just joking about it, but at the time he got to finishing it, it is a couple days late, so it's not in the official playlist, and Joe didn't cover it or anything like that. Or maybe this wasn't actually for NOVID, but when this came out, it's a big deal for me because like Roger rarely uploads anymore, and I'm happy when he does because he's one of my influences. So I wanted to cover it in a digest in some way. So I was like, oh, it's a NOVID thing because I saw the description or whatever. So if it isn't actually a NOVID thing, I apologize. I didn't get your sarcasm, Roger. But I'm covering it now. And it's a video on WatTheWut Gakuen, which is the Psychic Wars thing. It's this very weird looking movie, and I know a couple people have shat all over it, and I've heard nothing positive about it, frankly. But Roger once again coming through with a counter video of sorts, but he's not even addressing that aspect of the community consensus of this movie at all. I don't think he's even attempting to do that. He really is just like, he just finds this movie really interesting and wanted to watch it over and over and over again and justify it in a way that it's like, here's a positive take on it, or just something that's interesting to read into it, and treating the movie with respect. And I always fuck with that. I really do. It was the first time I heard that like this is actually one of several adaptations, and this is the only animated one. But there's multiple live action ones, but none of them are translated, I guess, except one, which I would have been interested to check to hear about a little more, but I guess that wasn't the focus. Understandable. But that it's in itself was really interesting. And then Roger cites a lot of sources, well, at least a couple of sources, right? Not like a bunch, I guess. But enough, especially a couple in Japanese and stuff, which I thought was very thoughtful and insightful. It really showed that he was putting a lot of care and effort into this and not just kind of pulling stuff out of his ass, I guess. And I liked the mood of this of this video too. It's his very signature kind of thing, and I think a lot of people can take after him in this way, that it's very unassuming, regular, not like trying to be the video thing, but just feel very grounded and straight shooting. But also carrying a nice vibe. The background music was very well chosen. There's not a lot of fancy schmancy things going on with it, but that's okay. It's more than okay. But yeah, I actually really liked it, and I was very happy to see this video from him. It was cool. And that's it for this edition, special edition of AniTube Digest, going over all the videos of NOVID November. Hope you check these videos out for yourself and these creators out, if anything of those, any of them interested you. I don't really want to go back and list a couple that stood out to me as my, any favorites or anything like that, because, I I don't want to play favorites, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to act like that. But I was surprised with a couple of them and didn't dislike really any of them all that much, which is good. Thank God. that could have gone poorly. Like 37 and like most of them were just bad, right? Or I didn't like them. That would have been bad. No, but I really enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up and I need to edit now. What time is it? I haven't been looking at the clock because my phone's here and I'm keeping it there. And then the stand is blocking the clock. So I don't know what time it is. I'm about to get fucked because I wanted to try to post it tonight. Better stop delaying it and just end the video already, Shaves. All right, I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Yo, peace.